As you all know, Kenner made a lot of cool Star Wars toys. Well, let's take a look at some things Kenner was gonna make but never got released. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video. What are we going to talk about today? Well, of course, we're going to talk about Star Wars toys that never got released. Some of them were pretty cool, so you want to make sure you watch this entire video. If not, you're going to miss some cool stuff. Before we get started, as always, if you want to support this channel, head over to patreon.com. That little circle up there, you click it, go over to Patreon, become a Patreon supporter. You can get a lot of cool stuff like outtakes, extended videos, videos with commentary, and more. Also, if you want to support this channel another way, head over to thatjunkman.com and buy some cool t-shirts. And we got a new shirt to show you that I'm really excited about. I call it the Bounty Hunter shirt. Let's check it out now. That's so cool. And you don't have to get on a t-shirt. You can get it on a mug or even a pillow. Who wouldn't want to sleep on a Bounty Hunter pillow? A damn fool, that's who. So let's get started. First off, I'm not going to focus just on Kenner Star Wars action figures. I wanted to look at some other things that didn't fit into the action figure category. However, some do fit onto the action figure list. One's very cool and I wish we did get it. But let's start with probably the cutest Star Wars toys that were never made. As you all know, in 1978, Star Wars toys was dominating the boys section of toy stores. However, Kenner wanted to tap into even the younger market of Star Wars fans, those preschoolers. They already had a hit series on their hands in the mid-70s with their Tree Tot action line. And before you go in the comment section to tell me, hey, Kenner redid the Tree Tot as an Ewok playset, I already know that. But thanks for reminding me. Anyway, Kenner plans to release their Star Tots preschool line. These are adorable. I would have loved to have these. Now, of course, as a kid, probably at the time period, I wouldn't have been too excited. But definitely now, I would love to have them sitting around in the junk room. First up, there were two ships in the line, an X-Wing and Landspeeder. The only figures made into prototypes was Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, R2-D2, and C-3PO. Although concept art does show an Obi-Wan Kenobi. As far as I know, the prototypes of these were made out of wood. I'm not familiar with the Tree Tot toys, if they were made out of wood. So maybe some of you can tell me that in the comment section. I know one thing, if I had wooden Star Wars toys as a kid, my brother would have smacked me in the head with them a lot. So maybe in a way I'm glad these never got released. But boy are they cute. So let's move on to the next one. In the 1970s, besides playing with action figures, there was one thing little boys really wanted to do. And that was to talk to your friend hiding behind a tree that was about 5 feet away. Sure, you probably could have talked to him just using your normal inside voice, but what fun is that? Kids loved walkie-talkies. So what did Kenner plan? Was it a walkie-talkie for the rebels to communicate when the Imperials were about to attack? Or maybe they were stormtrooper-like walkie-talkies so we could alert each trooper about the approaching rebels. Nope, that wasn't Kenner's plan at all. It was to release a walkie-talkie that looked like C-3PO. C-3PO. Don't get me wrong, I love the droid. But when it comes to walkie-talkies, why wouldn't you make it more something for the rebels or the Empire? Why 3PO? And you at least think that one would come with 3PO and the other walkie-talkie that you gave to your friend would be R2-D2. But no, they were both C-3PO heads that you talked into. Kenner got close to making this as they got more than just the concept stage where there was actually a production made where they hired a kid model to be photographed with it. What a lucky fella. But again, this was canceled before release. Maybe Kenner realized this wasn't the best plan for a walkie-talkie. So whatever happened to the prototype? Well, it's one of those items that's missing forever. Who knows, maybe that lucky model kid took it home with him that day. Believe me, I would have taken some pictures for free Star Wars toys. If you don't believe me, ask my uncle. Anyway, again, this has never been seen again. So if you have a cousin's, roommate, sister's, brother's, niece that work for Kenner, it might be in the basement. You might be looking at a gold mine. So call him up and say, hey, Give me that 3PO walkie-talkie. It's not worth anything. And then throw it up on eBay and get you a few $1,000s. Just remember who told you about it. Junkman. So give me 10% finder's fee, please. Now, if talking to your friend 5 feet away through a C3PO head wasn't your idea of fun, maybe you would have had more fun sitting on a big piece of plastic as it shined images from Star Wars onto the wall. That does sound kind of fun. This unproduced toy was known as Snowwriter, and it seemed never to really get past the mock-up stage. First, what is it? Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think maybe it's supposed to be the cockpit area of a snowspeeder, although that's just taking a guess. It went through 2 different looks. What this was a plastic seat, you sat on it, a light from the front of the vehicle shined onto your wall, showing images from Star Wars, such as TIE Fighters, so you could press some buttons and act like you're shooting at the TIE Fighters on the wall. It does sound kind of fun if you were maybe 7 or 8. This is what the final product probably would have looked like. As you can see here, you're thinking, oh man, that got really close to release. They spent a lot of money making that big hunk of plastic. Well, this one here is a lot smaller. You couldn't sit on it. This was more to show designers what they were planning. From the information I could find, none was ever made for an actual size. So, Hasbro, if you're listening, can you make an adult one? Looks like a lot of fun. Long before Nintendo made the god-awful Virtual Boy, you do remember that, right? The Virtual Boy that if you played over 10 minutes would make you see everything red? Well, before that, Parker Brothers planned to do their Virtual Boy called the Return of the Jedi Death Star Battle Game. This will come with a Virtual Boy looking rangefinder that you hold up to your eyes. Look inside and you can see the attack on the Death Star. But I don't really think this was a virtual game, as this was 1983. So it's probably just movie clips or most likely images. I don't think you'd call it a video game. It's most likely this was some type of board game where you held this up to your eyes and looked at it during the game. But that's just kind of my guess. What this game actually was, how it worked and all that, it's probably lost forever. Now let's go back to 1980 and talk about a action figure toy that was never released, but almost was. And it would have been kind of cool. I think it would have been a lot of fun to play with. And we're talking about the Hoth tow truck, or I guess tow tank. Now this was never seen in the movie, and that might be why it was never produced. Lucasfilm, mostly due to Lucas, really put a tight hold on anything made that wasn't in the film. We got a few things that were made that wasn't in the movie, and those usually fall under the mini rig line. It looks like something that was just off screen. Lucas wasn't a huge fan of making toys on products that wasn't in the movie. The tank was going to come with a winch that you could pull up behind a snowspeeder, crank it into the back of his bed, and carry it back to the Rebel base for repairs. It wasn't in the movie, so I wouldn't have been a huge fan of this probably as a kid, but it does look like a lot of fun. So if I did get it for Christmas back in 1980, I was sure I played with it. And honestly, as a kid in 1980, I probably wouldn't have remembered if it was in the movie or something in the background I just missed. So where is this prototype today? Like the C3PO walkie-talkies, it's one of those missing prototypes that's never been found. If you watch my videos, you know the white witch from the droid line was missing for years, but it was just recently found last year. If you hadn't seen that, check out that video on it. So you never know, although we don't know where these things are today, they might be out there sitting in someone's home. Now let's talk about one of the coolest ships that didn't get made. And that's Kenner's plan for the Blockade Runner for the Return of the Jedi line. Why did this never get made? It looks awesome. Well, again, we don't really know why Kenner decided not to make this, but it was planned for 1984. You could argue that this is when the slowdown of Star Wars toys started to hit, and if you look at the size of this thing, you can tell it would have cost more to produce, and it had a higher retail price. Therefore, maybe Kenner slacked off and decided, hey, let's just stick with the ships and stuff that we already have and keep it small. It was to come with an escape pod so 3PO and R2 could escape, or I guess any action figure you wanted to put in it could escape. A radar dish that moved and opened up, and battery operated sounds and lights. And who wants to make a bet it would have made that same drill sound that every Star Wars toy made. Not only did the radar dish pop up, you could put a figure under it, and he could poke his head out. Why would you want this feature? I don't really know. I guess they had to add some kind of value where the figures could play in it. For me, I would have had it open up and have a playset inside. But I didn't work for Kenner because I was just a kid. Where is this today? Well, like other things, it's missing. Someone has this. Or sadly, it might be in a landfill somewhere. But can you imagine having this thing as a kid? It looks awesome. This would be a great ship to have. Even with Hasbro's taking over Star Wars in the 90s up till now, we've never gotten a real good Blockade Runner. And yes, I said Blockade Runner because that's what it's called, a Blockade Runner. That's what it was called in 1977, so that's what I'm going to call it today. Let's talk one more, and it's a good one, because there was a plan to do Star Wars Holiday Special action figures. Let me say that again. There were plans to do a Star Wars Holiday Special action figure line. The only ones that made it to the test phase is the Wookiee family. There was, of course, Chewbacca, who was just a normal Chewbacca action figure. For Grandpa Itchy, they took a Chewbacca, painted some gray on him, and made him a grandpa. As for Mala, Chewbacca's wife, well, they painted it a lighter brown than Chewbacca and gave it Wookiee boobs. Wookiee boobs. And the prototype for Lumpy? Well, that was just a Fisher-Price Adventure People Johnny action figure. So if you want to make your own Lumpy action figure, just get you a Fisher-Price Action Adventure Johnny. Of course, these probably all look different once we get to the final stages, but these were prototypes. Also planned was the sea creature dinosaur that Boba Fett rode on during the Holiday Specials cartoon scenes. That would have been pretty awesome. This here never got past the concept art, so no molds or prototypes of this was ever made. It would have been awesome to have, even if I hated the Holiday Special. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. We'll be back very soon with another video. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, whatever else you got to do, and let's talk more about what didn't get released in the comments below. Until next time, this is Audrey Lee with Kids Beat!
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.